What's up, YouTube? This is your boy JD, and here about to do a 2K18 gameplay. As you can see, I got my behind handed to me by the 76ers. Yeah, I don't even want to talk about that one. That's one depressing. But anyways, if you look off to the right, the playoff picture, we're still in second place behind the Golden State, but we're 5 games behind them. But look who's catching up. We got OKC, that's only 1 game behind us, and then we got Houston, that's 2 games behind us. So we need to do a serious bounce back. I don't know what the problem is. The defense is lacking. Too many turnovers, blah, 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 so on and so on. But my Utah Jazz, we'll get it back up in there. As long as we stay in second place, well, I'd rather for us to even drop to third because I do not want to play San Antonio Spurs in the first round of playoffs. I'd rather play the Nuggets or the Suns. But we got a ways from that. Just to remind you guys, March 23rd will be our 1-year anniversary to celebrate me creating, well, me and my son creating this channel. He won't be able to do a live stream with me on the 23rd, but he will. He said hopefully he can be, I say about 90% chance that he'd be able to do a live stream on March 24th, so the day after our birthday, because of his job, which is understandable. So be on the lookout for that. Every time I post up a video, I will keep announcing our anniversary. If my son is not able to do it, I will do the celebration myself, by myself, like I normally do on this channel. But you guys didn't want to hear this, so let's go ahead and get to the gameplay of the Utah Jazz playing the Boston Celtics, basically the Boston Kyrie Irving. All right, let's get to it.
And it's the Jazz coming in from out of town on this one, an interconference game today. The NBA on 2K Sports. Thanks for joining us this Sunday afternoon with Greg Anthony, Chris Webber, and David Aldridge, Kevin Harlan. And we have a surprise. And so off the tip, it's Utah. Kevin, what a lot of fans don't get to see is all the work players do behind the scenes at home, before games, after games, on off days. Can you talk a little bit about that? Getting your body ready from the end of one game to play the next game. I mean, I've seen it, but you talk about it.
Yeah, the wellness starts right after you stop playing. The minute you come off the court, you're iced. You know, you got to do progressions where right after the game you shower. Obviously, you got to get massages. You got to get some type of wellness on your legs, just because you're running so much. People don't know that you have to lift weights. You know, when we was in Boston, we lift every other day. We had a strenuous strength program. Shout to be there.
Watch out. Watch out. Oh, nice look there from Smart, finding the open man.
Kevin, we see some coaches get extremely emotional on the sideline. Others take a more even-keeled approach, more calm on the sideline. Which coaching style would you prefer to play for when you were in your prime? Did you want a coach who was animated, or did you want a coach that was just kind of settled on the sideline?
You know what? I like the coach that was settled on the sideline. You know, I like to think that great coaches are going to be able to coach you in practice, and then during the games, you know, it's about the product and what you put out on the floor. You know, coaches that have understanding, coaches that have vision, coaches that understand the game, understand that it's a game of runs, know that it's a game of momentum, and have plays for those momentums and those times. Or coaches that I've always gravitated to and understood that
like Doc was kind of in between, like a little bit of emotion, but he could also have a calm demeanor on that side.
Doc was on fire. I'm sorry. There was nothing calming about
Doc. I'm trying to cover Doc's back here.
No, shout to Doc. Doc will rip your head off if you wasn't supposed to. But you know what? You need to play with that edge. You needed to know that if you wasn't in your spot, 1 through 15, you understood that you were supposed to be there, and it's good to play with that. I think that you don't want to be out there playing like, this is no big deal. Every play is a big deal, and no play absolutely. And you know what? That severity, and you play with that importance, and knowing that you're playing for the next guy. So that's important.
And it's Whiteside off the drive.
I love the ball movement there. He put that on a silver platter, just served him up.
Here in the first, just under 2.5 minutes played so far. And KG, talk about how the greats can just impose their will.
It's almost like another level.
Yeah.
When you see LeBron, what he did to Detroit in that fourth quarter, that's a blackout. You don't know what you're doing. When you see Kobe go for 81, when you see Chauncey come down on a one, these players are blacking out. These are elite players in elite moments, taking the moment. Paul Pierce is one of the best that I've ever seen grab a moment and savor it and just put it in slow-mo. And nothing speeding them up. Special players. But I get a front row seat at him. Ray Allen, the same thing. He had a great composure about himself to slow himself down and hit pressure shots. Tim Duncan, same thing.
And we've got an update here, so let's check in with David Aldridge reporting from the sideline.
Well, earlier I spoke with Brad Stevens. This is the first meeting of the season between these teams, and he stressed to his guys the need to rely on their instincts at the offensive end. He said, we do a good job of finding soft spots in defenses without forcing things. If we keep doing that, we'll be in good shape. We'll see if they can keep that up tonight. Kevin, back to you.
Thanks for the report, David. So the goal is to come out early and get their shooters into a good rhythm right away.
And of course, that's always a goal. But the meaning behind it is that he wants them to play good, smart basketball, not taking too many chances.
Oh, yeah, Greg, you're exactly right. High percentage shots. That's the important thing. No hero basketball. Nobody playing out of control.
Mitchell passes to Frazier. The feed now to Mitchell. Gobert, the screen. Off the pick. And the layup's good off the glass. Gobert's got his second basket.
Well, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. They keep getting it in the paint and continue to score consistently.
And there's the foul. It's on Tim Frazier. That's his first foul. Jaylen Brown's checked in for Smart. Here's Rozier. Frazier covering. Rozier kicks to Hayward. Again, the miss by the Celtics. The Jazz on offense. They're on a 12-4 run. Kevin, of all the people you've faced, who is the toughest guy for you to score against? Down low, let's pick that geography. Who is the toughest to score against down there?
Listen, I know a lot of people. I've always said Rasheed Wallace. I've always said Tim Duncan. They're probably the two that brought a different level of play out of me. But shout out to Cliff Robinson, man. Cliff Robinson. I don't know if people know this, but Cliff Robinson, man. Cliff Robinson was one of the better defenders in the post. He was very strong. He was very long. He didn't go for any counters. He was very disciplined. He was well prepared because he was a veteran. The refs let him get away with a lot, touching and grabbing. He knew when to be physical in some positions. He knew to do what we call work early. He would meet you at the three-point line, and he would be fighting you, and you would post up probably like a step outside the three-point line. Like, he was really good at some of his techniques and how he was able to control the post. After Cliff left the game, I watched a lot of his tape, and I took a lot of his I had to, because it was so effective against me that I was able to use it against other post players on the defensive end.
I never knew that story.
Dennis Rodman was another guy I watched a lot. Akeem Olajuwon I watched a lot, because these guys were laterally very similar to my makeup. Akeem Olajuwon was long. He was able to laterally move with you. I was laterally able to move with guards and able to laterally to slide with some of the forwards and some of the more laterally gifted power forwards. And with that, able to get my feet together, being able to block shots, challenge the rim, stuff like that. Things that, if you're going to get better at something, you got to go and reach and find the great ones that did it before you and take it, and then I was able to apply it, and I did those things.
Al Horford, a player who doesn't dominate any one category as a big man, but KG has very few weaknesses. He's fundamentally sound.
He's very effective, man. Al Horford knows what he is. He's very solid with what he does, sets great picks. He's able to create space between him and his defender. If you watch him, he's got better with his shot. He's got better with his three-point shot. He's able to shoot it at rapid style now. Been in Atlanta, been in a kind of a system where he was able to play kind of four guys, one in, and he would be more perimeter. He's really developed a perimeter shot now. It's really helped him. Now he's able to put the ball on the floor with a shot fake and go to the basket, make, other passes to guys, really help that whole system up there. Boston is a threat, but without Al Horford's play, his inside play, and his, able to go out and hit threes, they're not the same team without him.
Quality person, too.
Absolutely,
yes.
Man. No better locker room leader. He's one of these guys that when you talk about men, you want to know that men can stand up and speak like men. He's one of those guys. He's one of those guys that's going to put on the table, and we are going to be in here speaking as men as he should be.
Boston making a switch here. Celtics trail by 7. Terry Rozier taken by the Celtics, 16th pick back in 2015. KG, some were surprised the Celtics had already some defensive-minded combo guards already in Avery Bradley and Marcus Smart, but they took Rozier.
I like him, though. No better guards to learn from, with Smart and Avery. And, man, to pass these dudes down to a young Rozier. Yes. Can you imagine, progression with this kid and that tenacity? A lot of people don't know he has a little bit of offense to him, too, but naturally defensive, you see the natural ability.
That's his calling card right now, defense.
If I was him, I would lead on that.
The Jazz shooting their first free throw of the game. And the free throw, no good. The Celtics have gone an even 50% from the field. They are 7 of 14 for the game. Launches a 3, knocks down the 3-ball. Rozier's got 5 points so far.
Oh, beautiful looking 3-ball from Rozier, really expanding his range.
Frazier dishes to Whiteside. He feeds it to Mitchell, expanding his range, and the Jazz another 3.
How many times have we seen a possession like that from them today, ending with a basket coming off a pretty pass?
And the pass to Ojala. And the Celtics hit again from deep.
Okay, we got a nice little back and forth going here.
And I love it, Greg. Both sides inflicting damage from the perimeter. We'll see how the defense is adjusting.
Frazier the pass to Whiteside. A 3 from Anderson. The shot is good. It's his second bucket in 5 tries.
And the story here, Kevin, early on is how well they've shot the basketball.
To the inside. Stolen away. Nice job to interrupt the alley-oop attempt there. Here's Whiteside. And slammed in by Whiteside.
Methodical in their approach. They have absolutely owned this first quarter.
Well, I love how they've done it. They've built this huge lead with points in the paint, dominating physically.
There's the pick. Rozier kicks to Brown. And it's off from 3-point range. He got it up. It's been all about Hassan Whiteside for Utah. He got into double digits for the quarter with 10 points total. We'll get right back to the offense. Well, not exactly a close game so far, but as the second quarter starts here, plenty of time for a comeback. So it's Boston now, 11-point game. Kevin, when you entered the draft, no player had made the jump from high school to the NBA in 20 years. And what were your emotions when your name was called number 5 overall?
Oh, man, I remember that. It was
17 years old?
17, just turning 18 at the time. I was in like a whirlwind, to be honest. A lot of people don't know it's a lot of stuff that goes up into the draft. Things that I wasn't aware of. You're training twice a day. You're trying to get ready for the combine. You're trying to get ready for pre-draft. You got to do workouts. This is all new to me. On top of still going to high school, trying to, graduate and stuff. So I figured it out. I hustled and I bustled and I juggled a bunch of different things. But once your name is called, it's almost like the culmination. It all comes together. It's a special moment for just you and your family and your loved ones and ones around you. And when my name was called, it felt like the world had stopped and everything was going very slow.
We've got Yabusele down out there with Ojala. And it's Slaughter in at the 3. That's who's in the game for the Celtics.
And with the success they've had rebounding the basketball, they're right where you'd expect them to be, firmly in the driver's seat.
Jackson dishes to Mitchell. Gobert the screen. Whiteside, good.
And there's a pattern starting to take shape here. They're working it inside and getting good shots from close range.
Nader the pass to Brown. Second quarter of basketball, just over a minute and a half played so far. And count it, and a chance for one more at the free throw line.
That's good.
So it'll be Jaylen Brown shooting. It's going to be on Rudy Gobert. Well, the fans out there watching this, Kev, can you talk about why it's so incredibly difficult to win an NBA title, to become a champion? Why is it such a tough process?
Well, just imagine having a goal And you're not pursuing the
lane.
goal by yourself.
One shot.
Just say you and somebody else.
Relying on somebody else.
Relying on somebody else, okay? So let's just say you and someone are doing something, walking up a hill. Y'all getting ready to go walk up a hill. Well, the speed at which you want to walk at might be different from the other person. And what you realize about when you're trying to reach any goal is that you have to be connected. You have to be understanding of, we're going to walk up here together like at this speed, like this. We're going fast, we're going slow. It has to be a great level of communication and understanding. At the same time, you have to have the same work ethic because you have to understand you're together. And you don't get to go at this level and leave someone behind. You have to actually, if you got to pull them, if you got to keep up, whatever it is. All this goes into trying to win.
It sure does. That's right. There's a good screen. Brown the pass to Ojale. Ball's knocked loose and stolen by Whiteside. Here's Mitchell. Oh, went in there and tried to power it down, but drew contact. He'll head to the line. First trip to the free throw line for him in this one.
Gotta admire what he's been able to do at the free throw line this season. How about over 90%?
Free throw drops for Mitchell. Kevin, you were so successful jumping from high school to pros. What do you think about the current situation now, the age of 19, the minimum to go to the draft?
You know, I'm always be a fan of the younger kids being able to have the opportunity. I don't like when you put parameters. I could see if college was really teaching these kids and really giving them a solid situation to be able to have something to defer to. But, you know, these kids are not learning at the rate that you would like them to learn in college. And plus, they're not staying in college to these great institutions to be able to apply some of the things they're learning. So I just think that they need...
They're basketball players.
They're basketball players, but they should have the opportunity to take advantage of if you're able to play at 17, 18 like I was. Not saying that every kid's going to have that, but you have obviously the D-League. You have all these multiple leagues throughout the world and where kids go to play. You know, some kids have missed out just because of that 1 year and some mishaps. You sit here and you can say, you know, for business is good for this. Listen, the business is what it's going to be. We need to develop and have these kids be professionals more than anything. We need to grow these kids from a skill level and an appetite level. Our game was built off of wanting to be better than the ones that's come before us. You know what I'm saying? Lou Alcindor came in here. He was, a.k.a. obviously Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. He was more encouraged to beat out Wilt Chamberlain and Bill Russell more than anything. And then that starts to trickle down from the effect of from Jordan wanting to be better than Larry Bird and Magic to Kobe wanting to be better than, you know, it's the same thing. It's being trickled down. And when I think of greatness, I think, you know, it's going to follow. It's going to be shadows, and at some point it's going to mimic.
Regular season grind, 82 games in the regular season. In your opinion, is that the right amount of games for teams to play, or would you like to see the schedule shortened where there's more practice in between, more days of rest, more days to recuperate?
Man, look.
You get a big smile on your face.
For the old school, Kev, you know, 82 games is how you got to come through it. This is, listen.
It's a war, isn't it?
Listen, it is. And you know what? This is the tradition of it, man. This is what it is, bro. If you don't want to go through this and go through this hall and this road of this journey, then cool. Go to another league. They got shorter games. They got other awards that you can, you know. This is the NBA. This is what it is. This is the grind of it. And ones that have come before you have done it, just like the ones that's after you is going to do it. This is what it is, bro.
And so it's Boston with it. Passes it to Ojale. Here's Yabusele. He's covered by Whiteside. Goes straight through the defender for the dunk. Draws the foul. He'll go to the line. They get Hassan Whiteside.
Yeah, he just punched the ticket on that one. That'll get the job done.
Powerful two-hand jam. The Celtics have started out 0 of 1 from the line, missing their only other attempt earlier. Here's what Utah's going with right now. Robert Covington's checked in for Mitchell. And Raul Neto's subbed in for Jackson. Utah leading by 12. And when you watch Marcus Smart, you can see just how strong he can be on the defensive end. Why do you think, KG, he is such an impactful defender?
Marcus Smart, he rarely gambles. If you watch him play defense, he's very solid. He takes up space. You know, when these point guards now, they want to be able to have space to be able to create. He gives you one direction. You know what?
Anticipates well.
He anticipates well. More importantly, he's very smart. He understands the whistle. He understands hard fouls. He knows when to foul hard, when not to. And on the offensive end, too, he'll hit a three. He's a gutsy player. You know, on the defensive end, he'll take charges. He'll do little tangible stuff that a lot of guys won't do. Man, you need a smart on your team to do the small things if you're trying to really win.
And the smart things, right?
The smart things. Only you, K-Hard.
No, come on. I just got that from you. What are you talking about? You said it. I just
classic.
I just repeated it right
classic
there.
2K. Classic 2K K-Hard right there. You lit, K. You lit.
Because I'm next to you.
You lit. I'm telling you, lit.
Come on.
Hey.
Kevin, when you played, we all know how intense you were, how much you cared. That, to me, was the thing that you cared so much about the product, about your team, about the game. But some people have said that maybe there was a streak of you that was mean is maybe not the right word, but you were overly aggressive. But I don't know how you could have played any differently.
I call it dialed in.
Right.
You know, I like to think that if you're trying to accomplish something, then, you know, I only know one way to
go
accomplish
at it with
something.
gusto, right?
You go at it with everything you have.
Yes.
You go to dominate it and take it over. You don't go at something lightly.
Can't walk through the park with this game,
not at all. Not at all. And this game is full of talented elites. Night in, night out, you're playing someone that can typically go for 50 easy.
So true. On the sideline, let's catch up with Hall of Famer David Aldridge.
Kevin, Celtics coach Brad Stevens is known for getting the best out of his players. He said every NBA player has an elite strength. Some of them have 10 of them. And those guys are the very best in the league, right? But every one of them is here for a reason. And there are times where you can really soar with that skill. Kevin?
And that's why Stevens is already one of the best coaches in the league, David. You've talked about him for a long time, getting maximum results from every one of his players. And there's the bucket from Tatum.
Tatum showing consistency now from the mid-range. And when he has space to shoot it, he does not hesitate even for a second.
Anderson kicks to Neto. Drains it from beyond the arc. Neto's got himself going there, his first points of the game on the deep ball. Celtics trail by 13. Rozier the pass to Hayward. Pick by Horford. Pass to Rozier. Layup off the pick. And it's good on the layup. Rozier's got 7 points in the game.
They're finding lanes to the hoop now with consistency. 5 buckets in a row from the paint.
Now here's Gobert. He's covered closely. And Anderson kicks to Covington. No good. Now Boston takes it the other way. They come in fresh off a win against the Heat.
Really an intimidating style of defense. I mean, they challenged everything at the rim, and that led them to victory.
That was a big-time block party. Even several shots they didn't even get a hand on were effective.
KG, I know you can't stay any longer. You've got to move on, but we appreciate your time, and it's always great to see you.
Kev, anytime, man. It's great to see you, man. Anytime you need me, let me know, man. I'm yours.
Former MVP, Defensive Player of the Year and champion, Kevin Garnett. What a treat it is, Greg, to have KG with us. Always offers so much insight. Played the game for an amazing 21 seasons.
Yeah, you know, when he first entered the league, everybody was wowed by the athleticism. But what became more apparent really early on were the instincts for which he had for the game. And that's what he brings, I feel like, to the broadcast.
Just 5 on the clock. And Gobert with the basket on the assist from Covington. 8 points for Rudy Gobert.
And at the offensive end, he's done about as much as they could have hoped for today.
15 seconds left to play here in the second quarter. There's a good screen. On its way from Hayward for 2. And again, it's Boston converting.
And you can see there the defender gets caught up on the pick.
Team ball. Great execution on offense. Everyone working together. You wish you could have that play.
And so it's the Utah Jazz holding on to an 8-point lead heading into the break. They're shooting the ball everywhere.
And I'll tell you, his work on the block.
We always talked about how different eras of the NBA had different feels and how the game was called and how the game was played. Chris, what is the biggest change you have seen to the game since your era?
Two changes. One, you can't hand check, and that's really physical. That used to wear you down, take you out the game, and that stopped the freedom of movement. And that, along with playing the zone, where you can't just guard a guy and have to stay in your area. Those are two big changes because it really helped the offense, and so we want to see a lot of scoring, but today it's not easier to score because these guys have wonderful skill sets, but the game makes it easier to score because of the rules, because you can get to the line so many times, because before a hand check, you couldn't get to the free throw line if a guy pushed you out of bounds almost because the game was expected to be physical.
Right. And so in the game for the Jazz, we've got Shelvin Mack. Rudy Gobert is out there with Whiteside. Then there's Frazier. And it's Covington in at the 3. That one falls. And that's 18 points for Hassan Whiteside.
Well, he's picking his spots. Understanding the game so well helps them fuel this lead.
Poked away. Here's Mack. And that one drops for him. Mack's got 5 points in the quarter.
And since they've come out of halftime, they've been extremely poised and very efficient.
And don't forget, very accurate. Taking shots within the flow of the offense. Not something that can be said for their opponent.
Yeah, they're going to have a nice little run here.
Celtics trail by 17. In the corner, Horford with it. Good, and Smart gets the assist. Horford's got 6.
Excellent job by Horford to shoot that as soon as he caught it. Just outstanding at giving the D no time to react.
A nice shot by Frazier.
And they're beginning to just flat out fall apart defensively right now, especially on the interior.
Time called here. The Celtics decide to talk it over. And the 6th pick in the 2014 draft out of Oklahoma State. One of the Cowboys, Marcus Smart, might not put up eye-popping numbers, Chris, but they love what he brings to the table.
Yeah, it's all about his heart. I mean, his offensive game has been a little slow to develop. He doesn't shoot great percentages. But when his team needs him most, it seems like he always has a big impact on the game, whether offensively, defensively, a big rebound. He's just a good luck charm for them. He's almost like the leprechaun.
Mack, good.
And beginning to pull away. Really effective play calling halfway through this one.
Well, they figured out what's working, and that's what they're going to keep hammering on.
Horford dishes to Smart. Tatum misses off the left iron.
And a big lead for them on both the scoreboard and the backboard thus far. And everything they're attempting is going in. Tremendous run here in the third.
Well, I don't know what they talked about at halftime, but they found a weakness in the defense.
Austin making some changes. Yabusele comes in for Al Horford. And it's Brown in for Terry Rozier. Celtics trail by 21. Smart passes to Hayward. Now here's Smart. Frazier covering. And there's the foul. It's on Tim Frazier. That'll be his 2nd foul of the game. The Celtics making a switch here. Ojeley's checked in. Mitchell, he's checked in for Utah. Just under 2.5 minutes into the 3rd quarter now. Will it go? Hayward can't hit.
They are a lousy 1 for 5 for the half. They need to find a way to get it going there.
Dishes it to Gobert. Frazier left side. Blanketed by the D. He fights to the rim for the layup. 10 points for Rudy Gobert.
Not a lot of resistance on the inside, and they're taking full advantage.
They set the pick. Pass to Ojeley. Back to Brown. 6 on the shot clock. Out to the right wing. Ojeley, that's good. Ojeley's got 6 points.
Yeah, they're relying on their three-point shooting and getting pretty good results.
From the baseline. Shot by Frazier, no good. Celtics trail by 20. Ojeley passes to Smart. The Celtics working the ball around now. And again, it's Boston converting.
It's his shooting that's kept them out of an even deeper hole.
Frazier kicks to Gobert. The dish to Mitchell. And so he draws the foul on the shot. A trip to the line to shoot 2. And something we see now in the modern NBA, Chris, is that players will try and recruit other players in free agency, sometimes almost leading up to free agency. How often do you think that happens now, and how is that, say, different from when you played?
It's a lot different from when I played. I think guys wanted to play together, but we did not recruit or try to play together with each other because of the way that the rules were in collective bargaining and because of the way the game was at that time. At that time, even if you had a friend that was your very close friend off the court, you wanted to beat him for bragging rights on the court. Back then, it was more of, can my team beat your team? Not can we play together. I tell you what, with friends that I had in the league at that time, that would have been pretty cool to play with some of my friends that I think were great players. But I just think it's just going to lie in the sand. It's just changed. I think a lot of it's changed because we're playing basketball at younger ages. Guys are playing and traveling the country and know each other from ages 10, 11, and 12. So they have honest, genuine friendships and really want to play together. And so I don't really think it's a problem, but it's interesting watching these super teams and how all of this is developing. It definitely didn't happen in my day, and I'm just now, I won't say getting used to it, but I'm just now recognizing that, man, it's okay to play with your friends, I guess.
Howard's checked in for Utah. Jefferson comes in for Hassan Whiteside. Nice shot by Yabusele.
Timely passing leads to assists, and that's been the recipe for success.
Utah leading by 20.
Well, and the Celtics bringing in Brad Stevens as head coach in 2013. That same summer, they made their blockbuster trade with the Nets. 2 home run moves for their franchise.
The pass to Slaughter. Jefferson with the double team. Nader the pass to Slaughter. Kicks it to Brown. They set the pick. From deep three-point range, rebounded by Urebko. And the Celtics signed Brad Stevens to a 6-year contract to lure him away from Butler in college basketball. Chris, they were very confident he'd be a great coach.
Well, they might want to pull out their pen and have him sign another 6-year deal real quick because he's already established himself as one of the league's top coaches.
Over to the left wing. Nader. The shot's good. Brown making the play.
And they've had assists now in their last 3 baskets.
Frazier kicks to Urebko. Frazier outside. He dishes it to Urebko. Outside Jefferson. Drops one in from the wing. A minute 42 left in the third. Here's the screen. Slaughter, defended by Jefferson. Passes to Yabusele. Here's Nader. That shot is off. So Utah will take it the other way. Coming off that loss against Philadelphia.
Yeah, that was more than just a tough loss. That was a complete embarrassment.
Well, Greg, what amazed me was they could sustain nothing on offense. They'd make a couple of buckets, then go right back into their shell.
Here's Brown. Bounces high off the rim and drops. Brown's got 8 points.
And Brown is a reliable threat from mid-range. I mean, effortlessly rising up for the nice-looking J.
Urebko, and he uses both hands to jam it in.
Look at this. I like this. Team basketball. Keeping the ball moving till they find the right shot.
Boston's gone 2 of 5 with the 3-point shot since coming out of the break. Pass to Yabusele. Inside. And it's Brown missing.
Oh, that's terrific defense there. That's how you protect the rim.
Jefferson attacking.
Impeccable from the line since halftime.
The Jazz have shot 6 of 7 at the line.
Shooting. Richard Jefferson. 2 shots.
Free throw good, Jefferson.
And the athleticism Jefferson possesses, really impressive. A rangy forward who plays with intensity on both ends.
Here's what Utah's going with right now. Kyle O'Quinn is checked in for Urebko. Mack comes in for Mitchell, and it's Jackson in for Tim Frazier. Shot clock and game clock separated by less than 6 seconds. Here's Rozier, guarded by Jackson. Picked by Horford. A nice shot by Tatum. 8 points for him.
And that's the part of Horford's game that doesn't garner much attention. Great at setting screens to spring open his teammates.
Jackson dishes to Howard. And it's sent back by Horford. And at the end of the third quarter, a huge lead in this one may already have been decided. And we welcome you back as we get going here in the fourth quarter. The final quarter of play can change everything. We've got Tatum, Brown out there with Rozier. Then there's Horford. And it's Nader in at the 3, the small forward. That's the Boston 5.
And you need an army to keep Howard away from the basket. He's so superb at snatching up offensive rebounds.
There's a screen. Rozier the pass to Tatum. Brown. Utah with the rebound. Howard's got 3 rebounds so far in the game. And it's Anderson that time on the assist from Shelvin Mack.
And defensively, guys, they've been unable to shut down the middle.
Rozier kicks to Tatum. And we've seen a few players come into the NBA through different paths. They're playing overseas for a year or spending time in the D-League, now known as the G-League. Chris, do you think that these alternative paths to the NBA will ever be as common as the standard collegiate path to the NBA?
Well, I think it can be only because there's such an international presence in the game and that now you're starting to find players all over. And the great thing about the NBA is it doesn't matter where you come from. It just matters what type of skill set that you have. So I can't see it being other paths to the NBA, but the NCAA is always going to be one in the fact that guys want to play for their state teams, and that's always going to be fun to watch. But thank God for basketball fans and athletes. There's a lot of paths to the NBA, which is the ultimate if you want to play basketball.
Absolutely. Here's Horford. Utah with the rebound.
You got to give the D credit there. It affected him. He didn't have much room to get the shot off.
Anderson kicks to Howard. Anderson the screen. Howard dishes to Mack. And he uses the glass on the layup.
And you can bet they weren't expecting that kind of a flashy move out of him, but that spin worked to perfection.
Pass to Nader. At the elbow, Horford. And finished off by Horford.
And the powerful frame of Horford, enabling him to rumble through the defensive resistance to put it home.
And Chris, you were the #1 overall draft pick back in 1993. We've seen a lot of greats taken with that pick, but it also seems that those #1 picks who aren't as successful face a lot of pressure, a lot of criticism. There's a lot on your plate to handle. Can you talk about that for us?
Yeah, there's a lot of pressure for some players being the #1 pick. But I've always laughed and I've thought about players that maybe people say maybe they were a bust, maybe this player wasn't good. Well, I think you should go back and look at the GM that picked them. The GM is the guy that assesses talent, So when there were a few players that were picked #1, and many players said, "What are you doing? We played against him. We would never pick him #1." So before that, I think the NBA is about opportunity and situation. Look at a guy like Chauncey Billups. He went to Boston. He didn't do well at Boston. They called him a malcontent, said he couldn't play, and then he ended up being one of the best leaders that the game had. And so this game is all about situation and opportunity. Can you find the right fit? That's why if you're a player, you can't let frustration get to you. You have to continue to work hard, continue to prove your game, because when you play, you're auditioning for the other teams in the league as well. They're saying, wait a minute, we see his unique talent skills, and we see his unique skill set, and we could use him. And so many times you just have to wait for the right position, the right situation.
And here's Anderson for 3. 4 for 9 from the floor with that miss. The Celtics have gone 4 of 7 from the field since the beginning of the fourth. The shot by Hayward, wide open. Boston again missing. For Utah, they've gone 5 for 9 from the field in the final quarter so far. Good work there as it goes.
And they are earning points with the jump shot now.
And Chris, during your playing days, you were on some incredibly talented teams, and also some teams that were destined to come up short, so to speak. How big was the difference in the culture between a team who might contend for a title and the culture of a team that is just trying to grow and become a good team?
You can tell the minute that you walk into an organization which team that you're playing for, whether it's a team finding identity or a team that believes in themselves. And it's a big difference. It's a difference in the way that the winners approach every day. It's a difference in the way that you take your job serious, or that you approach the small things and pay attention to the details. And so you notice when you're in a good culture and a bad culture, and it all starts at the top. And hopefully, if you're fortunate to stay in this league a long enough, you'll be around the right culture. But the right culture is just doing all the positive things when no one is watching, and then hoping for great results. And when you do that, I think you're in a great culture.
Boston's gone ice cold from three-point land, 0 of 4 since the start of the final quarter. Jovanovic, defended by Jefferson. Tipped away. Nader. And it's off target. Not sure why he took that one.
And if you want to drive your coach crazy, this is a good place to start.
Come on, man. This is a clown move. Heaving it from the parking lot, showing very little respect for the gang.
And Anderson gets it to go.
Watch out. Now that he's got his first 3 of the half, there might be more in store.
Here's Ogilvy. Now the pass to Arnold. Sweet little floater.
And it's all about the release when you shoot the floater.
Neto kicks to Jerebko. That one goes. Count it.
Indicative of what we've seen tonight. One team being the aggressor, the other failing to react.
You know the saying, numbers don't lie. You can see it up there on the scoreboard.
Here's Nader, defended by Jefferson. And there's the call on Jefferson. That'll be his second foul of the game. Chris, if you were on the rules committee, what rule change would you like to see the NBA make going forward?
Kevin, there's not a rule I'd necessarily have changed, but I'd ask them to kind of reinterpret a couple of rules, and that goes with the flagrant foul. I often see so many plays that are just hard fouls called as flagrant fouls, and that can affect not only a player and later on whether it's a flagrant 2, but it can affect the game. It can affect the next game by how it's interpreted by a player being kicked out because of that. And so I just want to take the sensitivity or put the toughness back into that. So many flagrant fouls are called and they're not going at the head, or they're chopping down on the wrist. And I just like to see it get back to be interpreted as it was a little while ago, maybe 20, 25 years ago.
There's the pick. To the paint. Here's Nader. A rebound by Mitchell.
Well executed. Great rhythm. You've got to finish that one.
Yeah, coming off of a good pick, you want to get that. When he gets the separation he needs, I know he would love to have that one back.
You know what? You've got to always be in control of your emotions.
And Chris, as your career progressed, your free throw shooting percentage jumped up about 20 points higher than when you started. That's not the case for a lot of players. Just how hard is it for a big man to improve their free throw shooting throughout their career?
Okay, that's probably one of the things I'm proudest of, is that I have a record for going from worst to that best improvement, and I worked out hard. I had a shooting coach, Buzz. We worked out every summer. I would take him everywhere with me, Kev. I mean,
really?
I would take this guy to the club, to church, to a restaurant, to he'd have to wait outside the bathroom. Everywhere I went that summer, I wanted him, with me, because you have to focus and concentrate on it. You think about it, you have to change not only your mental habits, your repetition, but your thought process. So step 1 is the figuring out that shot. Step 2 is how many repetitions. Step 3 is, can you get that in game time atmosphere? And you really can't unless you punish yourself in the summer with running. So if you have to do a suicide every one you miss, or it just was just so much work and intensity on it, because you have to build up so much trust. Because the reason why guys shoot bad free throws, they don't trust it. They shoot a different way every time. And it was fun becoming better at that, but that's probably one of the toughest things I've ever done, was get better at shooting free throws, because of the concentration and the time allowed it to try to improve.
Out to the right wing. That one's off. Still out of sync. And here are the Jazz now. And then Mitchell with the dunk.
And how much longer are they going to keep that foot on the accelerator?
At this point, it's just icing on the cake. Terrific run, closes it out.
6 seconds separating the shot and game clocks. They set the pick. Knocked away. And now Utah, fast break. Here's Frazier, and he jams it with authority.
Tremendous effort here on the road. That plane ride home is going to be sweet.
Oh, yeah. Well, I don't care how good you are. It's tough to succeed in a hostile environment. They're doing it in style.
And so it's Utah easily grabbing the win. A resounding victory for them. And Greg in enemy territory. No.
I hope you guys enjoyed it. I sure enough did. Bounced back from a 2-game losing streak and beating Boston by 40 points. Kind of ironic, even though this is my second season on 2K18, that Kyrie Irving is the one that's hurt. He's going to be out for about 2 to 4 months. I can't remember what the injury is. But Gordon Hayward is on the team for the Celtics. So
from a tough game.
Whatever. I take it. I take a win either way, any way I can. Without Kyrie, with Kyrie, whatever. So
Performance on the second
hopefully
night of a back-to-back.
you guys
Back to
come
you,
back
Gary.
and don't forget to hit that like button, please,
And that's going to do it
and
tonight, folks, for our broadcast.
comment
For
and
Chris
share.
Webber, Greg
Let me know what you think about my channel and my videos.
Thanks for
All right, y'all
watching.
take care.
See you
And have a
next
blessed Sunday. Peace.